reimagining Krishna, who is so beloved, as a woman. Do you think the world or India is ready for that? Or is it too progressive an idea?
Well, Krishna is one of our most gender fluid gods. All the superheroes in this, Krishna and her team of four, they come against horrible challenges. Horrible things happen to them. But they become superheroes. Why? Because they go in and not out. I think the goddess has been hugely sidelined.
Goddess has been sidelined
in our current times.
Okay.
She is now a platitude. Any stories we're telling today has a very basic thing. There's a man, he's gone through some difficulty, he fights a war and he wins. But at the cost of devastation and killing. I wanted my superhero to be regenerating.
Okay. It has become a popular practice for authors to reimagine the great Indian epics and give their own spin to Hindu mythology. But our guest on this episode of Buzz by the Bay has taken this to the next level in her new novel, The Krishna Circus, which reimagines Lord Krishna as a female time-traveling superhero who saves the earth from destruction. The book addresses gender issues and environmental degradation in a very unique way. To delve into this theme a little more, we have with us in the studio author and filmmaker Madhurita Anand. Welcome on Buzz by the Bay.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
I was reading your book, The Krishna Circus. Very interesting, extremely unique.
Yeah.
Just to give the audience a bit of a synopsis, it's in a post-apocalyptic earth which has become a wasteland. The story unfolds in Mathura, which is now a domed city and a man-made synthetic wonderland. And the only habitable place left on earth. Nature has become a distant memory. The protagonist Krishna operates an enchanting circus that serves as a magical portal through time, and her mission is to travel back in time to prevent catastrophic events that led to Earth's devastation. So am I getting it right? That's the synopsis.
Absolutely right. Yeah, spot on.
All right. And of
well
course,
put. Yeah.
there's the tyrant Kams, who's Kansa.
Yeah.
Yes. Kams, is that what?
Kams.
Kams. Okay, Kams.
He
Right.
was originally Kans is a later word. He
Yeah.
was called Kams.
Kams. Okay. Who was a monarch of Mathura. So firstly, reimagining Krishna, who is so beloved, as a woman. Do you think the world or India is ready for that? Or is it too progressive an idea?
Well, Krishna is one of our most gender fluid gods.
Okay.
He oftentimes takes the form of a woman. The Mohini avatar, for example.
Yeah.
And oftentimes he actually propagates this idea of living in the middle. And one, and secondly, Krishna is actually sort of gender agnostic name. There are lots of women called Krishna.
Yes, that's
There's
true.
a slight difference. There's Krishna and there's Krishna. There's two, like the Krishna is the more male and
Yeah.
Krishna is the female.
Right.
So it's actually already there. I just brought it out.
Okay.
And I love the fact that he is the male goddess of beloved, because I think that really if that energy was around today, it would be a woman.
Actually, if you could elaborate a little more on that,
Yes.
why you chose, because I've read the introduction and initially you were writing it with Krishna, the superhero, being male,
Yeah.
but then you switched over to making Krishna a woman.
Yeah.
So really, why? Is it that the world is becoming overwhelmingly patriarchal, you want to tip the balance back? I mean, what was your reason for doing that?
Well, when I started writing my superhero, I felt that the mission I wanted for the superhero was the most present mission we have today, which is to save Mother Earth. We have a little planet and we're just, tenuously living on it. And when I started to write it in that vein, of protecting Mother Nature, it was very hard for me to write a male superhero, because so far our male superheroes have done a couple of things. You know what they've done. They've gone in there and ruined cities, killed a
Okay.
lot of people, and then there's a win. The win involves a great deal of violence and killing, and positioning of one group as evil and one as good. Um,
So you're talking about the Battle of Kurukshetra and the other epics, or
yeah,
all the
all
epics?
the epics. I mean,
Yeah.
Batman, Superman,
Okay.
Mahabharata, Ramayana, anything, any epic, any stories we're telling today has a very basic thing. There's a man, he's gone through some difficulty, he fights a war, and he wins, but at the cost of devastation and killing. This was not an idea as a writer that was acceptable to me. I wanted my superhero to be regenerating,
Okay,
to be rebuilding.
right.
And so, therefore, I mean, it just QED, it had to be a woman.
Right. So for, it had to be the woman who travels back in time and changes the course of
Yes,
history.
yes.
And of course, like you said, I like that. Say if the goal is, or the task at hand, mission at hand is to save Mother Earth, you felt that a woman is the right person for the job.
Absolutely.
In other words. Interesting, very interesting
And
take.
I have a very categoric reason why. Because women, through the course of centuries and the way our lives have been, and of course our bodies are very tuned with nature. As women, we all know we sync periods. We do these very funny things that are inexplicable. We accept the inexplicable. We accept nature as part of our lives. We don't rally against it.
Yeah. So, would you describe your book Krishna Circus as an allegorical satire? It also criticizes the brutality and greed of society, specifically in, let's say, totalitarian regimes or where leaders are megalomaniacs.
Yes.
You use Indian gods and goddesses in the domed city of Mathura. Which is a human-made synthetic wonderland. Nothing is natural. The water, the trees, nothing is natural. So you use this to represent the rot that has seeped into our society and the devastation we have caused to the environment.
Yes. I mean, first of all, I want to just say thank you for spotting the fact that it's an allegorical satire. Because that hasn't happened very often.
Okay.
In fact, when I wrote it, I felt a little dangerous, in a way, for me personally. But I decided to go all the way because there's some things that we need to say, and stories are the best way to do it. And the Dome City is a condo, really. If you think about it, it's just a large condo. And we already have people fighting for immortality, That's our main quest.
And comes the tyrant who rules over futuristic Mathura, which the book opens in 2124,
Yes.
right? That's the year that it opens in.
Yeah.
And he has the elixir of immortality that Parashurama, who's a liberal intellectual, a very interesting spin, has discovered for him. And he's used that for very evil means. And of course, the similarity is that there is a prediction, or that he will be, if he goes on in his unethical ways, he will be killed by a Messiah called Krishna. It's just that the Messiah Krishna is a woman in your case. So interesting, and you take on these issues of gender and ecology. I really like that.
Yeah, thank you.
Environmental issues are really important. So is that the main purpose of your book, to address issues of ecology?
I think the main purpose of my book is to deal with both and as a solution, not as a problem, because I think gender and ecology are really what we are, the solutions we're looking for. We have a very strong masculine which is unchecked and just rallying on at the expense of nature and frankly gender, know. And we have to, there has to be a moderation for it. The moderation is internal. Our moderation is all wrong. It's becomes our rhetoric, our way of life has become too masculine.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, look at how we think, look at how we conduct life. There is no thought. I mean, just as simple things. Supposing there was a woman who was honestly asked that, listen, there are people who are crossing the border and coming and all. Her first thought will be, look, my backyard needs tending. My children need feeding. We need to prosper.
Yeah.
Let them come. That would be a woman's response. But men are so concerned with that because they've lost touch with this part. And I think that's a real loss for masculinity, because actually men should now say, we want to go back and look after babies, we want to cook the food, we want to tend plants. Because to not have that knowledge is pushing them into sheer brutality. They have only brutality left.
So you're saying we've lost touch with our feminine side, is essentially what you're saying.
As a society,
As
yes.
a society. Again, coming back to Kamsa and Mathura, is this a veiled reference to any current political leader? He sounded a bit like Trump to me.
He's a reference to every political leader who wants to put a wall between people as a sign of progress. Anybody who says that there is the other and there is you, it's a zero-sum game already.
Yeah. Okay, so this othering, which again brings me
Othering.
to your theme.
Yeah.
You have these two groups.
Yeah.
Earth has been stripped of all its resources and totally devastated because of a war for resources,
Yeah.
limited resources, between two groups in your book, the Jamakhors and the Bahariyas,
Yeah.
which are the outsiders.
Yeah.
So just a little bit more about this. So this basically you're playing on the fact that we are always othering people.
Yeah, so I think the Jamakhors are billionaires. They're just gripped with greed. That's the only way I can describe it. Unless they can hoard, the world doesn't feel well. I mean, look at Musk right now. What does he really have to fight for? Why is he acting like survival is like at stake? It isn't for him. It is, on the other hand, for the Bahariyas, the outsiders. You know, in this minute, I could be the outsider because I'm a woman and I'm not from here. Anybody can be othered.
We always find reasons to divide society, right?
Yes, and because dividing society is good for money. You see, in my thought process, capitalism and patriarchy are conjoined twins. You see, they move together. So the moment I am a Jamakhor and I need to hoard, I need some divisiveness. If people are happy, they just stop consuming. We'll be very satisfied people.
If we stop consuming, but isn't that too idealistic?
No, consuming in the sense that you would want a bag, but you wouldn't necessarily want a Prada bag.
Acha.
Basically, you wouldn't want to spend money as a way of feeling better.
Okay, so we're feeling better. But you know, society is such, Madhurita, that of course we're a capitalist society, and right now I don't think there's we can move away from capitalism. We all enjoy a good life, to be fair. We all want a
Yes.
few nice clothes and jewelry,
Yes.
and that is fair. But I think what your book points out as is that, I mean, this desperate need to keep acquiring senseless acquisitions. That's what the
Yes.
Jamakhors represent.
Yes, and the fact that in India today people's savings are the lowest they've ever been, what do you think is happening? And the other thing is that, you know, while you said we all need things, and I agree with you, but even capitalism will agree with the idea that if you put too many resources in one hand, how are the people who are producing, how will they buy it?
Yeah.
You know, so anything to an extreme is not good. So while we survive and we live, we can also bring compassion and love back.
True.
That's-
I totally agree with you on that.
So any system can work if it's run with compassion and love, but if it's run with hate and greed, we're going to lose. That's the main thing.
India is, in a way, the spiritual capital of the world. So, you know, to forward that thinking, to sort of promote that feeling of compassion and love should continue. I mean, I think that's how I'm interpreting
you're
it.
absolutely right. But I think the biggest win of our society and our civilization has been that we recognize the temporariness of things.
So now moving on again to your book. Interesting, Parashurama, who's also an avatar of Lord Vishnu.
Yes.
You portray him as this liberal intellectual scientist. And Yashodha, who is the foster mother of Krishna, you portray her as a gynecologist. Very interesting take. So why did you choose this liberal sort of intellectual identity for Parashurama? who was also a warrior actually, you know.
He was a warrior, but he created things that people couldn't deal with. And in the end, as mythology went in the long run, he didn't really get much credit. I think Parshuram's unpredictability and his strong moral courage is what I kept with Parshuram in
Yeah.
my book, because he's a subdued version. By the 100 years from now, some of the warrior bit has been taken away, but he keeps that.
Okay.
And Yashoda, because she just when Krishna fell in her lap, she knew exactly what to do with him, right?
Yes, yes.
So I thought it'd be nice to have a gynecologist who's not given birth to anybody in 100 years or so or more,
Yeah.
or less, sorry, and now has a child. She'd just completely be like, this is it for me.
Lovely. Very nice, interesting spin on things. The protagonist Krishna operates an enchanting circus. So it's a magical portal through time, it's a magical circus. People are absolutely in awe when they witness it. And it's part of a mission to travel back to prevent these catastrophic events. So why did you choose a circus as a medium?
Well, all avatars have vahans.
Yes,
This is her vahan.
this is her Vahan. And the circus has its own personality.
Yeah, and just like other vahans, they start to work with the avatar, right?
Yeah.
So because I'm keeping an echo of Indian mythology there, this is a vahan.
Are you going to make a film out of this? You are a
Yes.
filmmaker. You made Kajarya, Mere Khwabon Mein, and all,
Yeah.
which are also have overriding feminist themes. So
Yeah.
are you going to make a film out of this one?
Well, yeah, actually, this book was a script to start with,
Okay.
and then I turned it into a book. So in there is a series, a movie, and there are 4 characters besides Krishna in the book,
yeah.
who all have their own journey. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Yeah.
But do you think the audience, I mean, the TV audience, which is much bigger these days than a book audience, unfortunately,
Yes.
less and less people read.
true.
You think they'll be open to this idea of Krishna as a female time traveling superhero? Time traveling and all is okay, but as a female superhero, I've seen she has like a blue bodysuit and
Yes.
peacock feathers in your book. Very cute description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but I'll do it anyway.
Okay.
I don't think that people will object. If you can move people,
Right.
they understand you're not doing it to shock them.
Yeah.
You're doing it to move them one step further.
Yeah.
I also think that right now, as we are, and this is, naming Krishna, a woman as Krishna is less controversial than what I'm going to say. But I think the goddess has been hugely sidelined
Goddess has been sidelined in
in our current times.
Okay.
She is now a platitude. Like we'll have the Durga Puja.
yeah,
we'll have all
they're
that.
big, no? The
But are there any, are we ready to riot for her? We would never.
Okay.
In fact, in the current call that's going out when there is an inciting of mobs of goddess, Sita has been categorically removed, because it's hard for a whole country to rally together and say a woman's name.
We say Jai Siya Ram. We do say.
We say Jai Siya Ram, but not as a call when we are doing something heinous. What do we use? When they are really attacking people, what are the words? They don't say Siya. That's been dropped.
They shouldn't say anything actually, but yeah.
Yeah. But I'm saying that even for them, when they're committing something that goes against what this entire civilization has been trying to do for centuries. I mean, it's not new. And because of the environment we're in right now, it's very hard to have the goddess participate actively.
Okay.
You
That's a
know,
very
I
interesting
think
take.
I think the Mata business, which was very, very big, if you remember, is slightly reduced.
You think
now.
it's reduced?
For example, would there be, if today, would I fight for a temple?
Okay, now I get your point. Would you, okay, right. So people would fight for a Ram Mandir or a Krishna Janmabhoomi Mandir, but would you fight for like a Devi Mandir, a Durga or, Lakshmi
It won't
temple?
even come up. Because the thing is, the goddess is a being, doesn't allow that nonsense. She's just like, how do you, in the name of Kali, kill a couple of people? How do you do it?
But Kali herself had a terrifying avatar, right?
Yeah, but
herself had-
she would have killed the people who are killing the helpless. If you know what I mean.
Yes, yes, she was a savior.
She was a savior.
But she was the OG superhero in that
She was
sense.
OG superhero and terrible temper, and actually she signifies time.
Of course, Kala.
Yeah,
Yes.
time has terrible temper.
I like that you also bring up spiritual aspect in a very different way that even young people can relate to in your book. You talk about Kriya Yoga. Krishna talks
Yeah.
about learning, the art of meditation through Kriya Yoga. You talk about, the importance of mind control, which is all from our scriptures.
Yes.
It's nice that you bring out that element, from our Vedanta and from our Shastras also. But in a very modern language, you put it.
Thank you.
So that was also intentional, obviously, to
Yes.
do that. Yeah.
Well, I'm a meditator.
Okay.
I'm a follower of Paramahansa Yogananda, who wrote autobiography of a
I
yogi.
was going to ask you, Kriya Yoga. Yes.
Kriya Yoga. So it did change my life, and I think the aspect why I used it was that all the superheroes in this, Krishna and her team of 4, they come against horrible challenges. Horrible things happen to them. But they become superheroes. Why? Because they go in and not out.
They go in and not out. I really like that. They go in, and that is what our scriptures tell us to do, right? Lastly, you've dedicated this book to your father, who's a martyr, who's a Colonel V.K. Pachori,
Yeah.
who died in service.
Yeah.
But a long time ago. You were
Yeah.
probably very young.
I was 7 years old.
Okay.
My father was a wonderful man, and in fact, the character who Krishna falls in love with is roughly based on him.
Satya.
Satya.
Okay.
Truth. The truth.
How lovely. So
Yeah.
that's based on your father.
Yeah, he was a gentle soul.
Though he was an
He was
army
an army
colonel.
guy. He was an army colonel, very good looking, and I mean, I'm not saying it as a daughter. He seriously was very good looking guy. He had like these, kind of hazel eyes, and he was very tall. And my mother was very well matched. She looked, she was also very beautiful, and they were married. And I do remember growing up in this sort of charmed place with these two lovely people. And what I do remember about my father was he was a bit of a feminist himself.
So that's where all this comes from.
Yeah, he loved the fact that I was always turning cartwheels and jumping, and he just thought that was the most wonderful thing. He didn't want anybody to be anything, and he encouraged my mother very greatly.
So how lovely that you've based a character on him.
Yes.
And
they're
that,
all in there a little bit.
He inspired this feminism in you,
Yes.
being an army officer and all that. Beautiful. I really enjoyed reading your book.
Thank you.
And I look forward to the film or TV series. I really do. Wonderful talking to you, Madhurika.
Thank you, and so nice to be here.
Thank you.